Today on the Savage Goose Show, we're going to talk about Savage Worlds in the context of, is it successful? We're going to be looking at Mike Shea's list of things that he says for him, or a few of the things that he says makes it a game, an RPG, successful. But first, we're going to talk about the news. First up, the newsletter. Oh, where'd my mouse go? There it is. First big thing is Savage Rifts Con. This is a convention. I believe this happened last year. I was not a part of it, unfortunately. This is an online convention similar to what they've done in the past with like Halloween, which is another convention. By the way, guys, I'd love to see come back. I really liked Halloween when I participated and would love to see it come back. But we have another convention with Savage Rifts Con where there's going to be a lot of Savage Rifts games, but also other Savage Worlds games being done online. So this is an online convention. It costs no money. You can sign up to GM. You can sign up to play, and it's happening on the 16th, 17th, and 18th of January. So take a look at that. See if there's any games you want to run. Because Savage Worlds is actually fairly well-known game across the pond, if you will, in the UK and in Europe. There's actually some games that are going on pretty much all day Friday. There's a game the earliest game I think is at 10 o'clock on Friday, 10 a.m. So if you're wanting to play some more Savage Worlds, want to play some one-shots, if you see anything that you want to play, jump in there. If you want to run some stuff, make sure you go sign up to run some stuff. I didn't know about it until I saw this newsletter today, so I'm sure there's people who didn't know about it either and would love to run some things. So Pete, if you're in there, or John Doom, or anyone else, maybe Scott, Zadmar, if you guys want to play some stuff or run some stuff, you should sign up to run some stuff because I would love to play with you guys. This is a great chance for you to meet other people in this community as well. If you want to play with other people who love Savage Worlds, or if you really want to see how other people run Savage Worlds games, this is your chance. So please go check it out. Please sign up. Go find some time. I'm hoping, I hope I can find some time to play, or to play, maybe run. Unfortunately, my weekends in January are already a little bit booked up, but we shall see. But that's the first thing here. So go take a look at that. Savage Rifts. You got Deadlands, Lost Parsec, Pathfinder, all sorts of stuff. Celebrate the holidays this season with Savage Worlds. If there's a little seasonal Savage Worlds gaming in your immediate future, they have a lot of holiday-themed adventures available, so go check those out over on the Savage Worlds on Pinnacle's website. There are things for Deadlands Classics, Deadlands Reloaded, and for Flash Gordon, a whole bunch of different things that are Christmas-themed, so go find a fun Christmas-themed adventure. Tabletop Tango, one of the other channels that covers Savage Worlds content, is celebrating 6 years talking about Savage Worlds content. So that's going to be going on. There's going to be a little live stream tomorrow evening at 9 p.m. with Eric and Carl over on Tabletop Tango to talk to the community and just say thank you for all the community's done for them, and we look forward to hearing from them. And thank you to them for all the stuff they've done for our community. And then we have our stats report. So we're going into the end of the year. There's a whole lot going on right now. Just getting some things fulfilled. We got some stuff for our warehouses. Adalo Northwest shipping is already completed, which is amazing. The Lost Colony stuff is arriving at the warehouse. So that's awesome, which means we'll probably, I don't think we're going to get it before Christmas. But I imagine it's possible, but I doubt it. So maybe for the new year, maybe during after Christmas is over, or maybe right at the beginning of in January, we should be getting all that stuff as well. I'm getting a whole bunch. I'm getting everything for Deadlands Lost Colony, so I'm looking forward to getting that big package full of Deadlands Lost Colony goodies. And then we have Doomguard stuff. I did get my PDFs for Doomguard and some stuff for Dark Ages for Dark RPG recently, so that stuff's going on. If you want to get in on Dark Ages or Doomguard, you should go take a look at that and or go take a look at the backer kits and do any sort of late pledging that you want to do. Sorry about that. And then there's feedback. If you got the Carrion Crown stuff and you want to provide feedback about typos or things that don't make any sense or things that don't really work well together, it seems like someone wasn't thinking things through, do the feedback and submit those changes. That's one of the best ways that Savage Worlds and Pinnacle can get more information about what problems there might be there. And honestly, oftentimes, despite they have a lot of professional editors, there are things that are going to be needing to come needing their your sorry. There's a lot of people who are looking over these things. It helps to have the community looking at stuff. So my brain got distracted by comments. So great to see. Hi everybody. All right, so that sorry about that. Moving over, next up, we're going to talk about some new products. There's a few new products that came through on Drive-Thru RPG that I wanted to do a quick shout out about. The first one is the Dust We Inherit Quick Start. Dust We Inherit was a Kickstarter that was done recently this past year, and the quick start is now available. So if you're interested in this setting but want to try it out before you actually get it, it's currently on sale on Drive-Thru RPG for the quick start. So check that out. It's also got an adventure comes with it, so that you can try to run the game, get a feel for the setting, and also if you have the setting, if you want to get the quick start so you run the adventure, you can do that too. The next one here is Kethos Book 5. Now, I have not dove super deep into Kethos, but what I have noticed is that Kethos seems like it's really well done. There's been several books that have come out already. This is the 5th book now. You can see some other books over here for Savage Worlds. You can get it in PDF version, and it's just got a lot kind of going on. It just looks really well done. So I haven't dove too much into it to give you my big opinion about it, but I want to make sure that you were aware about it. The next one now available on Drive-Thru RPG is the Doomguard RPG book. So if you are interested in getting Doomguard for running in your Necessary Evil campaign, it is now available. You can go grab that. You can pick that up and run that in for your players. So go check that out. It's available now on Drive-Thru RPG. If you want a physical copy, though, you will need to wait for Pinnacle to start selling that on their website. So be ready for that. And then lastly, I think I might have mentioned this last week, but this is the Beginning Savage Worlds with Classic Fantasy. This is a short guide on how to introduce people to Savage Worlds, specifically using fantasy genre. One of the biggest pieces of advice that you will see when trying on the communities and such about how to introduce Savage Worlds to people is to not do fantasy, because people are going to make these assumptions or make these comparisons between other games like D&D or Pathfinder and Savage Worlds, and they're gonna be like, hey, why does this work so differently? And the general advice is to do something different, like sci-fi or cyberpunk or modern day things, to kind of break that connection so there's no comparison. Well, the person on this document wants to kind of say, hey, maybe that's all you want to play is classic fantasy, but how do you start doing that in Savage Worlds in a way that people are going to like it, and how can you do it so that makes you get the feeling that you want? Well, that's what this is all going over. I again haven't got a chance to look at this yet or purchase it yet, but the other things I've seen from this creator tells me that this should be really good, and I'm looking forward to read it. So maybe I'll read through this and give some use this as to influence some future videos as well. We'll see. So next, let's talk about some Kickstarters that are coming up. We have a few Kickstarters coming up that we know are coming in the new year. The first one is Occult City. This is coming from Doghouse Rules, the people who make Sidewinder Recoiled, Dust Bunnies, and Trailer Park Shark Attack. And they're now doing one called Occult City. And think of it as it says here, tagline, a pulp superhero horror role-playing game. So we're taking 3 different genres that we haven't done enough yet. We've got too many 2 genre mashes. Now we need 3 genres to mash up. But also Savage just does pulp already, so you just gotta assume pulp. But superhero horror role-playing, which makes me think of Constantine as an example. Maybe Hellboy, stuff like that. So I really liked Constantine, and I like other I'm gonna call it urban fantasy, Dresden Files, that kind of thing. And I feel like this is going to be up my alley. Maybe this is be more superhero than I originally picturing, but I'm looking forward to it. I am curious to see if they're going to, and actually we're already lined up to interview these guys again. We've interviewed them in the past. We're going to interview them again for this product. I'm curious to see if we're going to have the superheroes companion in addition to the core rulebook. That's something that we're going to talk a little bit about later today. But that's one of the things I'm going to ask and I'm going to want to know more about. Vermilion, Outlaw Girls and Cannibal Elves from White Witch Games is going to be coming out next year. This is a Kickstarter for them. I really enjoy Vermilion. We just had our first session this past week of Vermilion running the Sick and the Dead, and it was a blast. The way that Ben writes his adventures to be very sandboxy, he shows you all the things that can happen, and it's not only necessarily like the adventures are written sandboxy, but he writes these books with multiple like adventure hooks, adventure seeds, and you may have like the one main like adventure, but there's other things going on that allow you to kind of like make it so that you have like a small sandbox in the game. So unlike the other two, I should say the first one, Blood Hunt, took place in a small like factory town. The Sick and the Dead happens in like a bog town, swamp town, nothing like Louisiana type stuff. Blightwater's its name, and so I'm curious to see what this one's gonna be like. If it's gonna be also in like one location type thing, or if it's gonna be like a more globe spanning adventure. Hopefully we can get Ben on to talk about that, but we need to schedule that. And I believe he's in the UK, so that also makes things a little bit more difficult. And then lastly, Starbeards. We've already actually interviewed Fading Goat Games about Starbeards, so you can take a look at that. This project did get delayed, so it'll be coming out in 2026. I'll probably like repost the interview again, but can make sure everyone knows about it when we get closer to that time. But look forward to Starbeards, where you're playing as dwarfs in space, mining asteroids and such. So super exciting stuff. So that brings us to our main topic. And if you're just joining us, welcome to the Savage Goose, where we talk about all things Savage Worlds. And today we're going to talk about, is Savage Worlds successful? And we were going to be looking at the signs of a successful RPG. So we go and stop the screen share. You guys don't need to see this whole thing. You can see my face instead. There we go. All right. So we're talking about, is Savage Worlds successful? Not is Savage Worlds successful, but what are the signs of it? And does Savage Worlds fit the signs of a successful RPG? Specifically what I mean, I realize I don't have any of my other lights on, so everything's a little bit more dull. Mike Shea did a video a while ago, this point, maybe a month ago now, where in his weekly podcast, where he talks about the signs of a successful RPG. Before we dive into this, I want to say a few things about what we're going to be talking about, and to kind of like preface all of this conversation. First, I'm going to be saying a lot of praise for Savage Worlds. You guys know I love Savage Worlds. I am a huge fan of Savage Worlds. I am also going to be saying a few bad things. I think there is some things that can be improved upon. So we'll, as far as like the making the game successful, not necessarily the gameplay, but the availability, making it so that people will want to come and play it. I want Savage Worlds to be successful. I want more people to play and love this game. I don't claim, nor do I want to have any working knowledge of the business around Savage Worlds. This is not really the sign of like me thinking about like, hey, being successful for commercially, but do I think of it as successful for myself as a game master and player, and as I try to encourage other game masters and players to come in and play the game, and they look at it from the outside like, hey, is this going to be a game that we actually want to like? Is it successful? Is it something we're going to want to continue to play? So as such, because I am a huge fan of Savage Worlds, I am also going to be one of its biggest critics. So please keep all of that in mind as we begin this conversation. So again, this is coming from Mike Shea's video where he talks about his signs of successful RPG. I had one in here. We're going to talk about that a little more, and we're just going to work our way through it. So again, specifically as consumers, as we look into games, what are we looking for to indicate success? We are not talking about money or whether it's successful as a business. For the business, we are only thinking about the game as it's being successful from the point of view of us as game masters and players. It will define for ourselves what if an RPG is successful. So here's some of the things that he said. So the first thing he said is, can you buy it or acquire it? For Savage Worlds, the answer is a huge yes. Yes, you can absolutely easily go out to Amazon, to bookstores, to Drive-Thru RPG, to Pinnacle itself, and get the book in PDF. You can get it in physical form. You can go to a couple of my local game stores, or one of my local game stores has it. I don't know how many other ones. A lot of the game stores around here don't focus on RPGs, unfortunately. But the one that does carry it. They carry Savage Worlds and Deadlands, which is great. So first off, good success. Absolutely easy to buy the game. You can buy supplements for it really easily. The Superheroes Companion, all the different companions, all different products from Pinnacle. They have it on Direct RPG. They have it on their website. They have a lot of them on Amazon. There's a lot of third-party content you can buy. There is Vermilion. There is Starbreaker. There is the Sidewinder Recoiled. There's all these games I have back here because these ones are Pinnacle, but basically, yeah, about here and over and up there is all games that are made by third-party people, not by Pinnacle, for Savage Worlds. I honestly, I think about it and look at it. I think I own more third-party content for Savage Worlds than I do in physical form than I do in actual stuff right here. This stuff. So there's can you buy it? Yes, you can absolutely buy it. It's super easy and there's a lot going on. Second question is, are people playing it at conventions? The idea being that if people are playing conventions, they're probably playing it at home as well. And I think that's also a huge yes. They're like when convention season's happening, you can't just help but see like so much like people talk about all the different games that they're playing and they're running. And part of that isn't just Pinnacle, running stuff. It's also a lot of the third-party publishers who are making the games and running stuff. I know Pete runs from Pear Tree Studio. He runs a whole bunch of conventions out in the eastern area. You have some really big conventions here, or not here, but like out west for like ChupacabraCon, Genghis Con, Gen Con. Like, a lot of conventions are running Savage Worlds games, so that is absolutely a success as far as that particular criteria is concerned. So we're good there. All right, next up, do we know of, or can we find groups of people talking about it and actually running it? That is, does it have an involved community? This might be a little bit of bias because I'm one of the people in that said community, not just in the fact that I'm doing the Savage Worlds channel and the TheSavageGoose, but also because I am pretty active in the Reddit. It ebbs and flows. I am aware of Discord. I'm on the Discord. I participate occasionally. I haven't participated a lot lately. There's so many. How do you guys handle your Discords? I have so many Discord servers I'm a part of that I want to be in the conversations of, but man, there's a lot going on. And by the way, if you guys are, you have anything that you would like to see Pinnacle do things differently, please leave comments down below. I'd like to hear what your thoughts are. And anything that you think is a sign of it being more successful or would be successful at all. So then we come to the fourth thing, and this is the last thing that Mike Shea put in his video, and that is, does it have some form of open license? This is where I start getting a little bit critical. And I've mentioned this before. During my video a year ago about things I wanted to see in 2025, one of the things I said was some sort of system reference document or open gaming license or something that we could see from Pinnacle to allow people to do more with the game than they're currently restricted to. And there's multiple reasons for that. Mike's reason was so that the game can remain successful even if the publisher walks away from it. I don't think the publisher's walking away from it anytime soon. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. And the game has been around for a long time, so I'm not particularly concerned about that. The bigger concern for me is something that I keep seeing more and more discussion about, and that is the requirement for the core rulebook to be like separate from whatever game you want. So if you go into a store and you see Deadlands on the shelf and you say, oh, cool, this looks really fun, I really want to play this, they pull it up. Yes, it says in the back, requires Savage Worlds core rulebook to play. But not everyone's going to see that. Not everyone's going to notice that. And you get home and go, oh, how do I play this? And to be clear, this happened to me. When I first started playing in 2012, I got a copy of the Pirates of Spanish Main, and I tried for a long time to figure out how to play this game just using this book. I was like, okay, here's the book for Spanish Main. How do I play this game? And the answer was I was missing another book. That's why. Although I think maybe the Pirates of Spain is not a good example because nothing about it. I think Pirates of Spanish Main may have had the 4 rules I could be wrong. Check me on that. But that's a reason, and it's not just something that I ran to, nor do like I think about, but it's things I've heard from other people. Even today on the Reddit, someone said, "Hey, does anyone have a self-contained cyberpunk book for Savage Worlds I could run?" And they even said in their comment before they even before comments happened, and they're like their post, they said, "Hey, I'm not looking. I know about the superhero sci-fi companion. I know about Interface Zero. I know about Sprawl Runners, but I'm looking for something that's all in one book because my players," and I quote, "This is and to be clear, this is partially like a really my players can't reference 2 books." And this is a conversation, a problem that people have mentioned before. Now, do I think it's really that big a deal to reference 2 books? Not really. But it is a factor that is coming up, and it's coming up more and more as more and more indie developers are coming out with their own games, and it's all in one book. People will point to like D&D. It's like, hey, D&D requires like 3 books. I'm like, no, it honestly it doesn't. I don't like. I ran D&D with 1 book, and this is for 2014 D&D rules. I ran it with 1 book for a long time. That was the player's handbook. I didn't need any other book. It had the how to play the game. It had, yes, I missed out magic items that were like developed, but like, and I didn't have a big bestiary. There was some stuff in the back, and honestly, that's kind of things that you can easily find online. So you really didn't need you needed all you needed is that 1 book, and it was pretty easy to make up stuff too for monsters, so it's not that big a deal. So, so 1 book, every setting that you want to run in Savage Worlds requires at least 1 additional book. Something that a backer kit went up recently for Titan Effect, because a Titan Effect is one of the is a fairly well-known Savage World setting, and it doesn't just require the core rules, it also requires the superpowers companion. So if you want to play Titan Effect, you have to pay $40 for the core rulebook. I think it's $40. It's $39.99. I think it's $40 for the core rulebook. You got to pay for the superpowers companion, and then you have to pay for Titan Effect. So if you are interested in Titan Effect, you are automatically investing over around $100 maybe more dollars into the game before you can even do anything with it. And not all that material that is in the core rulebook and in the Superheroes Companion is content that actually is needed to run Titan Effect. There's some things that that you want to pull out for Titan Effect and then pull in the book. And honestly, if we could change that in some way to allow people to put the core rules of the game in, or the certain piece of the game in, I think it would be a great boon to the community. Now, this backer kit, in the backer kit, one of the posts that was made by the creator is that he is switching to Year Zero engine, and one of the reasons that he cites, one of the reasons is also he doesn't Savage Worlds wasn't meeting what he wanted as far as game design, which I don't know what he's looking at, so I can't make a comment about that. But one of the things he did mention is that he did not like that he needed so many extra books. I've had there's other creators in the space who have mentioned that they want to play Deadlands. They think Deadlands is really cool, but they don't like that Deadlands doesn't have all the rules in it. That they have to get another book to do that. So it is, and I feel like more and more that this kind of conversation about some sort of open gaming license or some sort of SRD becomes a really important conversation for the long-term success of Savage Worlds, and the success not just of Savage Worlds but of other games that are using the Savage Worlds engine. I think one of the reasons that some of these other games are maybe not as successful as we want them to be, some of my favorite games like Vermilion, like Street Wolves, and I think Street Wolves may have mentioned, I think the creator from Street Wolves may have mentioned this too, as far as one of the reasons why he's switching away from Street Wolves. Or from Savage Worlds as far as a settings system goes, but I could be wrong. I feel like I remember hearing that somewhere. Is that so that like in order for all these other third-party games to kind of flourish, and I think this goes for Pinnacle's own published games as well. And in order for these to flourish, they need to start creating things with the core rules in mind. Now there has been a few things like that, and one of the things that was really successful. Savage Pathfinder has been hugely successful, partially because of the Pathfinder logo and all that stuff going on. But also, if you want to play Pathfinder, you get your setting and you get your core rules all in one book. If you want to play Savage Pathfinder, this is the only book you need. You don't need anything else. And it is 254 pages long. It has only what you need here. There's no extra stuff. There's no extra things like extra setting rules or anything. And I don't think that this means that the core rule book and the companion guides will get, I think there will be maybe a decrease in purchasing, but I don't think it's going to be a major increase. People are still going to want to create their own things. And if you can get them to go, wow, I love this system, they're going to start picking up this other stuff. And to be clear, I don't think Pinnacle needs to necessarily put everything that's in the core rulebook into some sort of open gaming license, right? That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that the actual rules, not the hindrances, not the actual hindrances, not the edges, not the any of that stuff. None of that stuff needs to be in there. Although I think there's some examples, kind of like what D&D does for their open game, their SRD, where they put like one class in per, or one subclass in per class, and they have the core functionality of the game system. You don't have to put everything in. You can just use certain things put into the SRD. You don't need not all the rules. The player's handbook, the player's book, is a very stripped down version of the core rules, and it can be stripped down more for an SRD. So slight tangent there, just because this is the first thing that I'm like, one of the big things on my mind about Savage Worlds, and one of the complaints I've been hearing a lot from not just from people inside the community, because I've heard from people inside the community, but also people outside the community who have said like they're hesitant to play Savage Worlds because of this reason. And that's sad to me. I don't want people to not play Savage Worlds just because, or use the system just because they have to buy these other books. It'd be really nice if we could find a way to fix that problem. So that's one thing. That's something to talk about, and it's something that I would like to hear more of your thoughts on. And I'll get to y'all. I see you guys are putting comments in here, so I would like to. I'll talk more about. I'll get to what you guys are saying as well. So thank you for commenting. I'll get to them at the end here. I have one more thing I will say about signs of successful RPG, and this is something I swear I heard from Mike Shea or someone about this, and I can't find any citation, so I'm just gonna put it as myself. But the availability of digital tools to assist in running the game. I don't mean like digital tools like VTTs. We have plenty of those. Savage Worlds has done a great job of doing it in the big three, or big four: Roll20, Foundry, Fantasy Grounds. Big three. I think it's the big three: Fantasy Grounds, Roll20, Foundry. Yeah, and maybe more, but I think that's the three I'm thinking of. And a lot of third-party publishers have put their stuff on there too. I was really excited when I was looking at either Fantasy Grounds or I think it was Fantasy Grounds, and Vermilion was on there. I was like, oh man, I could just run Vermilion from this if I wanted to. So we're good on VTTs. VTTs are great. What about other tools? Well, we do have Savage.us, and I'm glad Savage.us exists. However, I think there's some big improvements that need to be done with Savage.us. And Savage.us, to be clear, is not a Pinnacle run thing. It is run by somebody else. It'd be, in my opinion, I think it'd be really important and really nice if Pinnacle could create some sort of more concentrated effort, creating a intuitive system for creating characters using things like Savage.us. So yeah, I think it's important. I think it'd be nice if we could see more of that, like development of digital tools to assist in the gameplay in some fashion. I think for the most part, yeah, we want pen and paper stuff. So digital tools to help with a pen and paper game, like character builders, so you can print them out. It'd be nice. There are just so many at this point in the TTRPG hobby. There are just so many people who feel like they need a digital character builder to play the game, because it's going to help make sure they do it right, and it's going to help make sure that things aren't broken, or someone like cheats in some way. And that's just not just for Savage Worlds. That's like for pretty much every game at this point. Almost every game that's talked about these days has some sort of digital character builder. Shadowrun does, Cairn does, not Shadowrun. Shadowrun probably does too, but Shadow Dark is what I was trying to say. Shadow Dark, D&D Beyond, and D&D's got a lot, obviously. Cairn has some. There's just a lot out there, right? So take a look at that. That's something that I think about, and I am trying to actually do something about that. I think that SavageGoose just needs a little bit of reworking to get. I think all the data is there. It just needs a little bit of reworking to make it more user friendly, more intuitive. And I know there's been a lot of issues that people have been having with it. I think it was like down at some point this week for like a whole like 24 hours. So I think there's just some work that needs to be put into that system so that it can run better. It may require an increase in cost. Right now, it's pretty cheap, and it might need to be more expensive in order to cover those costs. So we should think about that. But I am trying to work on my own thing. I'm going to share my screen here. This is my own thing that I'm trying. Something that I've seen a lot of games do recently is a big investment in cards, and Savage Worlds is no different. We have a lot of cards. We have edge cards, gear cards, power cards, all kinds of stuff, and they come into these games, etc. But that only comes in these games that we get from Pinnacle, and we get the extra stuff. And if you need multiples, you don't really get a chance to, and you can't really customize them. So one of the things I've been working on is creating a website where you can create cards. Create cards for your game, so you can print them out. So this is what I've got so far, and I just want to kind of quickly share this off, and then we'll get to what you all have to say. Here's a character that one of my players has in our Vermilion game. He doesn't have any powers, so I can't really show off the powers here. But here's all the edges he has. You can go and take a look at that. See here all the edges, and fortunately, and again, this is one of the things I need to work on making better. Here's his weapons. Here's his hindrances. One thing I need to make better is if I want to print out cards, I have the print cards button here. I go edges. I can select all these, that kind of stuff, and I can print the cards. Now, unfortunately, I don't think you guys can see my little. Here, let me see if I can reshare my screen. Share screen, share window. There we go. Window. There we go. There we go. So this then creates these cards that has like the requirements for the thing, different things for your habits and everything. I have a lot of work to do before I can make this. Is going to be anywhere near successful. But I thought this is the kind of thing that I want to see us have more digital tools for. So I'm trying to do something about that. My plan right now is to try to get all the kinks worked out, make sure it gets nice and polished, and then eventually reach out to the team over at Pinnacle and see if I can get licensed. But I want to see more of these tools. I want to see more people try to make tools, and there's people who have. Christian Serrano made a really nice dice roller for Savage Worlds that I use all the time. I like the idea of some sort of initiative tracker to help with initiative, not just for online games, but also for in-person games. So I'm looking into like a way to do some sort of way to make a in-person, like using your phone initiative tracker type thing. So yeah, so that's one thing I'm looking for. I would like to see more digital tools again to help with the physical gameplay. So it's a place where you can make cards so that you can add it to your list. So you can easily keep track of like not only what your hindrances are, but like what do they do, or your edges in this case. Probably, I think hindrances usually you get. It's pretty clear because right now it's like you write your on like the normal character sheet, you write your hindrances in, your edges in, and honestly, I don't know what they do. Until I go into the book and read them. Big problem for me with monster design, but that's a whole entire other subject. So let me hear from you. Let's take a look and see what you guys have to say about things that you want to see. Todd DeWitt said there are two things I'd like to see from Pinnacle. One, a better option to introduce new players. A player's box packed with quick sheets and adventure, or a beginner's GM box that has a short adventure and some cardboard tokens added. Quick pick. All right, so big news there. This is not really big news because this has actually been announced, but not everyone has heard about it. And I can't really say announcement, it's just like it was mentioned. I think it was at Gen Con last year. They did mention they are working on a starter set box using Deadlands, which I think is perfect. This is exactly what we need to see. And I'm very excited to see what kind of stuff is in there to introduce people to the game. And it needs to be something that is going to be, as someone said, it needs to be, I think Mike Shea said this needs to pass the Christmas test, which is if you open this up on Christmas Day, can you open up the box and immediately start playing? So without having to go out and get other things, in the case of like toys with batteries, like okay, do you get batteries, etc. It needs to be able to be something that you can do right there at Christmas at the table. Pull your cousins aside or whatever, and go play a game at the table with this starter box. So yeah, good news for that. I think there is something coming for that. So I would see anything more. It's at like one sheet adventures or something like that for like each genre, and like use technically the same characters for each of them, but slightly modify them with like trappings or something to show off that like, hey, all five of these characters are technically the same character. It's just they've been slightly adapted trapping wise for each of these individual individual adventures and genres. There we go. So look forward to that. Let's see here. 2, some kind of RPG A type organization. I know this requires a lot of work, but a season of adventures and volunteer player network would be wonders to get the word out. Is this like I'd like to hear more about this. Make sure I understand it. Are you talking about like something like like Adventures Guild or not Adventures Guild? What's it called? The thing that D&D does for their organized play. That's the thing. Is it talking about organized play? So I'd like to hear more about that. Venkel says, I'd say with the tentpole settings, Deadlands, there should be a core rules deluxe book option. Yeah, I think Deadlands, Rifts, and obviously Pathfinder has it. So I think, yeah. So I think like Deadlands and Rifts, they could do that with 100%, and they should. And maybe a few other settings, but like, and this is the context of they should have a book where it's Deadlands rules plus the core rules like all in one book, all integrated together and mishmashed. So yeah. Let's see here. Yeah. Savage Worlds Pathfinder is kind of exception along Solomon Kane. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I understand that these are exceptions. Solomon Kane is an exception, and so is the other one. But I don't like it. Like I wish more things would do it. Not just those books. And like, yes, I get that this part of their style guide, so that they want, but I don't think it's the ideal. So I'll say that. Pinnacle says, or Venkel says, I like the Pinnacle's site file download needs an overhaul. That's 100% true. When Superpowers Companion updated, I had to hunt through a long list to get it, and not my deluxe edition. Yeah. No, if you get stuff through Pinnacle's website, there is a lot like downloads and stuff. And if you go through your account, also I remember the search function doesn't work. So what I end up doing usually is hitting Control F to find what I'm looking for. And then sometimes I can't remember exactly what they called it. Like, is it Savage Worlds Adventure Edition or is it Suede? That kind of stuff. So yeah, that definitely needs an overhaul. I don't think it's going to necessarily affect the long-term success of the game, but it's something that I would like to see done soon. I know that they've talked about like reworking the site and they got like the Deadlands area done, but that's about it. Let's see here. Okay, RPGA, like things like Pathfinder and Starfinder Society, which is like organized play essentially. I'm just not sure how that would work necessarily, but I think in terms of Savage Worlds, because Savage Worlds is a different game to me in my mind. So if you have an idea for it, please talk about it and let me hear it out. On like what you think that looks like for Savage Worlds. When I imagine it for like Starfire Society and all that, like that's a game with a setting involved, and there's also like leveling and like with XP and stuff. So I'm not sure how that works in a game like Savage Worlds where we have milestone leveling and it's who knows what setting. But if you please, if you have an idea for this, please let me hear it. I don't want to I'm not trying to discount it at all. Vinkel says they need to have a Crystal Heart style comic in Deadlands with that starter, but use a style form from their own graphic novels. That's a really cool idea. I like that a lot. Yeah. Like I won the comics back here. I like the idea a lot. I think as everyone I've said last time, I have not gotten the Crystal Hearts comic yet. So yeah. Oh, Pinnacle. Hey guys. Man, you guys always scare me when you're actually watching because it's like Ugh. Lots of good ideas, and many of them are coming sooner than you think. Good to know. Good to hear. Like I said, I think the Starbucks. I think I heard the Starbucks is coming from like a Gen Con announcement. And please, actually, if you are watching, since you are watching, because you said you're right here, when the Star Set comes out, I want to hear more. I want to talk about that. I want to hear about that that whole thing. Let's see here. Yeah, Crystal Heart style comic. I want to get the Crystal Heart comic physical book. Like I said, I've read through the web comic, but the physical book is something I want to get. I haven't gotten it yet, only because I'm hoping someone gets it for me for Christmas, but we'll see. All right, Todd says, okay, organized play. Essentially, you have a bunch of one shots that can be picked up. This can be specific to settings or generics. Okay. So not something that is organized play, but not necessarily like organized play in a like you have a character you take with you for everything. It's more just, hey, we're playing this day at this place, but in a more organized fashion, so that if you go to Pinnacle's website, say, and you search for games in your area, you can actually find the games that are being run around the country. That's what it sounds like I'm getting at, what I'm hearing. Some sort of way like discover the game, discover a place to go play it at local game stores. But yeah, you're right. That would require essentially partnering with players and GMs around the country, around the world, and then like have those people then reach out to the game store, say, hey, can I run this at your store? Basically what we're describing in a sense is so you could take a character with you, but you have one shots with archetypes work as well. Interesting. Okay. It feels difficult to me, but I don't fully understand how that would work as far as like leveling up. But anyways. I do like the idea though, as far as like having a way to like find games where you can run things. Okay. Pingle says we ran some fun Deadlands living campaigns with the RMS. Thanks, Landauer. I appreciate the clarification that who's talking. What is? I will ask though. What's the RMS? Because the Royal. No, I do know what the RMS is, but I can't remember what it stands for right now. You guys talk about it for one of the conventions. You guys have a big group that gets together to talk about it. I can't remember which convention or anything like that. Anyways, so yeah, that's everything I wanted to say. I'm excited for Savage Worlds. I love Savage Worlds. I want to see it continue to grow. I think there's some things that we can do and can hopefully see done to make things grow, but I'm just gonna like kind of leave it at that. And yeah, okay, Rocky Mountain Savages. So that's not what I was thinking, the group I was thinking of, but Rocky Mountain Savages, Living Deadlands campaigns. Yeah, so that'd be a fun thing to see, and just see more organization as well. I also want to see more online conventions. We didn't do Halloween for the past like 2 years. I think it was like 2023 we last did it. That was fun. Savage Rifts, that's going to be fun. Hopefully I can find time to squeeze out and do that. But we'll see. Next week it will be the last stream of the season of the year. I'm not going to do one in between Christmas and New Year's for just like personal reasons. But I will be doing one next week. The particular thing, and kind of give you a heads up, because I do want to hear everyone's feedback. The thing that we're going to be talking about next week is this article from Eternity TTRPG called what is it called? All-time best tabletop RPGs, the best RPGs of all time. That's what we're talking about. Savage Worlds is on this list. It's on this list of I think it's like 14. It's in 6th place. I'm going to look, we're going to talk about and analyze like what does Savage Worlds do well at according to this person, and what does that mean for the game, and talk about that. So look forward to that coming up soon. We also have Deadlands 30th anniversary event coming up in 2026, which is going to be second week of October. Say the date. Got it. Okay. That's true. I'll look at that. Michael Carr says you're currently stripping out the leveling bennies and cards. I'm gonna okay. I'll say I don't. to me, one of the core, if you strip out bennies and cards, I think you are. I think you're kind of missing the game. I think if you don't like those things, you might Savage Worlds might not be for you. Which is fine. Everyone has their own taste and everything, but I bennies and the initiatives, and honestly leveling to an extent, is something that's very core to Savage Worlds. So I don't know if that's going to be the best thing to do. My recommendation would be find a game that's going to fit what you're looking for a little bit more. Or in, if you have, assuming you've already played with basic cards. If not, if you have not played with basic, but like actually played the game with basic cards yet, please spend some time playing with it first. And this is a whole another video I could do. It's just like why people kind of don't, what they don't like about Savage Worlds when they read it, and just because like often you don't fully grasp how the system works. So tell us two lethal bennies. Yeah, so the exploding dice without bennies and everything, bennies really are really like a really big core part of the game, in my opinion, and I think it's the opinion of most like the game designers, and a lot of people. And so just be warned. That's all. But you know, if you do that and it works out, let us know. I'd love to hear what you did to change it that made it feel like what you want. Because I like hearing about homebrew rules. There's some homebrew rules that I think are really fun and really interesting, and there's some not so. But I would love to hear what you have to say. So yeah. Anyways, I will talk to you guys next week. Again, just kind of a little preface for those of you who stayed so far. Take a look at the all-time best RPGs. We're going to analyze all those RPGs, all these ratings, and see what Savage Worlds came out on top on, what it missed out on, and if I agree. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Thank you, Pinnacle, for coming and watching. Thanks, Landauer. Also, Landauer, we should actually hang out sometime. I usually hang out with Jam when I'm on stream with you guys, so I'll have to hang out soon. Thank you all for hanging out, and I hope you all have a great holiday season. Go out there, buy some Savage Worlds stuff, and play some more Savage Worlds games. Because I'm not, because holidays are falling on Thursdays, and that's my gaming night. Cheers, everybody. Hope you have a good one, and stay savage.